You whore! It still leaks. Landon, your work is shit. Yeah, it is shit. We are fixing boost leaks. This is a brand new second gen swap, and after the first run it did 730 horsepower, but we noticed it only made 36 pounds of boost. So we pressurized the intercooler system and we found this new boot was leaking on the bottom. The clamp had actually pinched the boot where the clamp came together. So I'm just loosening the clamp, readjusting it, tightening it back up. So that's why, just because everything's new doesn't mean that it can't leak. That's why we always pressurize the intercooler system if we're at all suspicious of a boost leak, and it tells us exactly where the problem is. Here you can see it holds pressure. You're always going to have some slow bleed off because the valves will never fully seal. But this, anytime it bleeds off real slow like that, it's very normal. So the other way, before I fixed that clamp, it was only making a 1.5 psi holding it wide open. I hear the leak. Try to center that thing up as good as I can. I never like to tighten the clamps really tight with an impact because that can gall the stainless nut on the clamp, and then you'll ruin your T-bolt clamp. So I always snug it up with the impact, but I always finish hand tightening. And then we'll see if it leaks. Okay, this is Lance Johnson's 2012 that we have on the dyno. We just did a bunch of work to it. It had a head gasket problem. It has a D&J stage 3 head on it now with fire rings, ARP 625 head studs, 45% over injectors, 10 mil CP3. The truck also has a 472 stainless diesel second gen swap that we just installed, and a RevMax 750 68 RFE transmission. So overall, this is a well-built package. The truck has 37-inch tires. I believe it has 456 gears. So he wants something that he can turn up on occasion, but he still wants to be able to turn it down, tow trailers, and make it a work truck and be reliable. So we're giving him some variety. So after the first pull, we did 730 horsepower, and I could tell that it was down on boost. So we went through, pressurized the intercooler system, found a big boost leak. One of the brand new clamps that we had put on had pinched the boot, and it was leaking past there. We re-clamped that, fixed that clamp, and then it did 893 horsepower without changing the tune file. It was just from the big boost leak. So it's a good example, or to show that just because your parts are brand new doesn't mean that there can't be a problem. Because I have a lot of times I get a data log back and it says, hey man, it looks like you have a boost leak, his boost is low, or it's lazy, smoky, hazy. And they say, well, everything's brand new, it can't be bad. This is a prime example. This is brand new parts. We had just installed it, all the clamps were tight. Looking at it, it looked perfect, but when we actually pressurized it, it was leaking. So we got that all fixed up. 893 horsepower is a great number for the setup. You can compliment the stage 3 D&J head for giving maximum airflow on this truck, because otherwise on a stock head truck we would never see a number like this out of a 10 to 12 truck. So we're going to get this thing off the dyno, get the 37 swap back on the back, and he's ready to go back to Texas.
We have Steve Gingrich's 2008 here. He brought it from Missouri. Before this he had stock injectors in it, and just yesterday put 250% in it, 250% extra G injectors. Has a 475 8710 T4 turbo, and has two stock pumps. Well, the one's a Sportsman, but then has 625s, has a stock head, and it is a 48 swap full manual valve body truck. Brought it here obviously needing a retune for the bigger injectors, but he also had some fuel surge that he wanted to get taken care of. We were able to figure out the rail surge and get that fixed. Then he also had long cranking while starting, and we found out that his crank sensor was not reading anything, so it bounced, the signal bounced from the crank sensor to the cam, and that's why he had long cranking on startup. Once we had that fixed, we replaced the sensor. It actually solved a lot more issues in the tuning. It had not been going full fuel since the ECM wasn't detecting any RPM from the crank. So we got that figured out, and on a max effort tune, we ended up making 930 horsepower and 1,320 foot-pounds of torque. We threw a little bit more fuel at it, and it only picked up 3 horsepower, and we're guessing that's because of a stock head. Just doesn't allow it to flow any more than when we threw more fuel at it. So with him still having a stock bottom end, 930 horsepower and 1,300 foot-pounds of torque, he's just going to leave it that way for now and enjoy that. And then also we gave him 2 tunes that he can play with for 770 index racing. The first tune on tune 2 was 732 horsepower, and on tune 3 it made 800 horsepower. 800, I'm guessing, might be a little bit too much, but he is going to take the truck back home and get some seat time. And now I know that I have 2 tunes that are pretty close to where they need to be, and I can make slight adjustments from there once he's got some seat time in it, and he's more comfortable with the truck. So hopefully he enjoys the newfound power, and we'll get him off the dyno and send him on his way.